What it do, YouTube? As I tried to promise, I am back less than a week after doing my last one. So I wanted to do, I guess, kind of a fun slash serious one today. I've done one of these before on my YouTube channel. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's my top 5. Please go check it out. That's probably one of my most fun podcast episodes I've ever done, where I did top 5 of like different things, especially throughout childhood. Had like my top 5 and then like a ranked top 5 that's like legit, like straight from the sources. But yeah, go check that out. Today is more of a serious one. It doesn't have to really do with, because I think last time I did like top 5 animes, candies, cereals, toys, like just, the fun stuff. Today it's going to get a little more, philosophical, and it's going to get a little deeper into the things that I usually talk about, which are, things dealing with real life situations, relationships, what have you. So like I said, my intros are never long, so I'm going to get into it. My poison of choice today. So last time I had the Z. Alexander Cabernet Sauvignon barrel aged. This time I have their Pinot Noir. So I decided to get their other bottle. I was almost got this last time. But I decided to go with the Cabernet because that's my favorite red. And this one said it had 93 points. So we are going to see if the 93 is worth it or if it was just, mercy points given to this. But Z. Alexander is still a very great wine brand regardless. All right. And as always, I have my composition notebook that I always write, I guess, notes slash points that I usually say throughout my podcast. And what's funny is I just ran into the stuff that I had for my top 5, my other top 5 video. Cartoons, cereals, animes, candies, ice creams, toys, movies. Yeah, it's a really fun one. So please go check it out. Check that out. So what I'm going to do today is I am filming pretty late. So this won't be too long of an episode, but I'm going to have 3 specific topics that I'm doing a top 5 in. And then what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to list the topic and then I'm going to go down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Like my level of importance is going to go from 5 to 1. 5 being I'm going to say it first, and then 1 I'm going to say last. And of course, emphasize on what I think is like the most important thing in certain topic. So I had people give me what they wanted me to talk about a top 5 for. I did a sandwich. So I did one where it's like an actual serious topic, one where it's kind of like, it's low key serious, like for me, but it's more of a fun one, like something that you could just, throw out there just for funsies. And then the third one is, like, in my opinion, is a very serious one where I think that people might be able to take some inspiration or serious life advice from. So let's get started with the first one. So the first one is top 5 ways to get over someone. I wanted to ask if there was like a specific situation, like if this is getting over someone after a breakup or getting over someone that, say, you had a crush on or maybe a one-sided affection for, and you can't get them out of your head because, hey, we all been there, right? So I just kind of put a top 5 that could focus on both of them, get under someone else. That is one of those that it popped into my head immediately after reading it, but I'm not going to put that in there. It's just disclaimer. Not putting that in there. But top 5 ways to get over someone. Number 5, so the bottom of the list of my most important, focus on yourself. And this is this is something that could be implemented in anything in life. The reason why it's the bottom of the list because of the fact that it's so generic and it's not very specific to like actually just getting over someone. And then at the same time, it's like if focusing on yourself could help you get over someone, you think people would do better with doing said thing. Oh, what's up, Lindsay? Doing better with, doing said thing in general. Focus on yourself, meaning like just focus on the things that you have going on, whether it's things in your life. Focus on, getting to a better place spiritually, financially, physically, emotionally. None of us are perfect. We all have work to be worked on throughout our entire lives. Until the day we die, we need work. So the best way, I think that it's always great to just focus on that aspect of those aspects of yourself that that you may be lacking, or that you need help, getting to a better spot. And then also, don't be afraid to ask other people to help you get to where you need to go, because everyone needs help every now and then. Everyone needs a little pick me up. So focus on yourself. Whatever you need to do that. Make sure it's in a healthy way though. Like, I'm gonna go more into that when I reach some of these other top 5 categories. Number 4, immerse yourself in your own hobbies. So actually, I said I'm gonna go on to that later, but this is one of those where I say make sure it's healthy. So immerse yourself in your hobbies. This has been easier for me only because of the fact that I have a lot of hobbies, and I also have a lot of hobbies that allow myself to like detach myself mentally from other things. So for me, basketball is probably my biggest escape. While I'm on the court, when I'm playing ball, I am not worried or thinking about anything outside of getting buckets. Like, I don't know. It's always been like that. I like to say that basketball saved my life at one point. It is my first love, and I just have so much passion and love for the sport that I think that as soon as I get a basketball in my hands, I kind of just engross myself in it. I also have a lot of other hobbies. Of course, painting, sketching, writing, watching anime. I would say it. Now that I'm saying it out loud, I feel like it's definitely easier for me because a lot of my hobbies allow for myself to have a mental escape and to really truly put myself in another place, whether it's writing, whether it's watching anime, whether it's playing ball, whether it's simply just hanging out with my friends and being able to just put myself in a completely different mental environment. But a lot of people struggle with this because many don't have a lot of hobbies or hobbies that that can allow themselves to like fully immerse just their mental space into. If that's the case, I encourage you to find one. Even introverts can have something, whether it be video games, whether it be also writing or something artistic. And you don't have to be good at it, because this isn't like, a hobby that I'm trying to make a career out of. This is something that I'm trying to just take my mind off of things. And like I said, you can be like, you don't have to be Picasso to immerse yourself in a painting. You don't have to be Steven Spielberg to immerse yourself in writing something. So, just find something that kind of you're naturally in tune with, that you naturally have naturally have an enjoyment of doing, and do it and keep doing it until you either get better or you find yourself in a happy medium to where you don't need to get better, but it's something that you thoroughly enjoy doing. Number 3, talk to someone else. Of course, this is easier said than done, and obviously, there's a lot of factors that go into it, such as other people having an interest in you, you having a willingness to talk to other people, or to even move on to another, interest or what have you. I have that as number 3 because, in my opinion and in my personal experiences, finding someone else to talk to and having a genuine interest in has been like one of the easiest ways to forget about something that didn't go through or did happen and left a bad taste in my mouth. It's just one of those things. So talking to someone else, of course, also there are moments where that talking to someone else may lead to more disappointment, or it could possibly lead to nowhere. However, in the moments of trying to figure that out and trying to see where it could possibly lead, I guarantee you it's taking a lot off your mind with, this other person that you definitely need to be taking your mind off of. Number 2, this one's something that I kind of came up with recently, and actually helped me recently. Hyper focus on red flags or reasons it didn't work out. And then I also think that this would help out with a lot of people who constantly get back with people they've broken up with. Mind you, gonna go off a little tangent here. I personally do not understand. No, I'm not gonna say I don't understand. I personally do not. No, I will say I don't understand. I don't understand people breaking up and getting back together, especially when it's multiple times. I think that that's something that's very common amongst casual daters. I think that's something that's very common amongst people who have a certain outlook on dating and relationships. And I'm not talking down on it because, everyone can have their own opinion or their own, viewpoint of what relationships should be and what should entail with the growth or maybe even the fall of a relationship and how you need to act afterwards, during, whatever. But to me, I take dating very seriously. So if I get with you, I see potential in you for the long run. And then if I break up with you, just know that I tried any and everything I possibly could to make things go along. If I'm the one who makes the decision to break it off, that means that we reached a point where I made the general conclusion that this will not work out, that there is no way that with the type of people we are and, how we interact with each other and just maybe just how we just are in life, that it's going to succeed to future, elevations of a relationship. It's just not going to work out. If I'm such a romantic that if I break up with you, just know that it's over. Like that there's no, that I gone to a point where that decision of us not working out is finalized. So you will never see me get back with an ex. Now, might I give in to temptations and be physical with an ex again? Possibly. I'm not even going to say, like, I'm not going to even try to front. I have been there before, but it was something that was made clear that, like, look, this is because we're still attracted, we're still single. I'm not going to automatically find you physically unattractive because I broke up with you like some people do. I had a conversation with my homeboy earlier today that I don't understand how someone could break up with someone and then flip around and call them ugly, call them, unattractive, say that they're this, that, and the third. Ooh, no, please don't. My laptop just tried to restart on me. Let's pick a time tomorrow. Let's go 12:16 p.m. How about that? Yeah, let's do that. Schedule restart. Woo! That scared me. That was going to end everything. Well, as far as my audio recording. Is it still going? Yes. Wonderful. All right, we're back. What was I saying? Anyway, yeah, I don't understand how people can break up with someone and immediately say that they're ugly, can't stand to look at them, ain't this, ain't that. Now, maybe it is true. Maybe they weren't ish from the beginning and you just failed to see that. However, you cannot tell me that you got into a relationship with someone and just because you broke up, now all of a sudden you think they're unattractive? Come on now. We're not stupid. You're just saying that to be spiteful. Just to be spiteful. And those things are something that I have just a certain outlook on. So yeah, once I make that decision to break up with you, it's over. Hyper focusing on those red flags and why it didn't work out will allow you to further realize why it was a good thing that it didn't work out. And the more you realize it's a good thing that it didn't work out, the more you're going to, the less you're going to miss the good that you had. And I think that's what a lot of people do when they're not, or when they're failing to get over someone. Their mind is stuck replaying and their emotions are stuck basically just going over all of the good things and the good feelings, the good vibes, the good energy that you may have had at one time or just throughout the relationship and y'all just weren't compatible. Or if it was a one-sided, affection, you're just gonna think about how they made you feel when they gave you certain moments of attention or certain moments of feeling, and that's a very toxic, or I won't say toxic. That's a very intoxicating feeling. And it'll have you stuck on someone for a good minute, especially if you're unable to pull yourself away from that person. So, in order to keep yourself away from that person, why not focus on why it didn't work out, or some of the bad things that you did notice about that person? If they left a bad taste in your mouth, keep that taste bad, because you don't want to go back to something that's not going to work out again. Number one on this list: cut all contact and media presence. This is my number one because let's be real. Social media has added another element to relationships, whether you're shooting your shot, whether you've already shot your shot, whether you already in the relationship and after the relationship. Social media is now a certain platform where you can still have quite an intimate access, depending on how the person behaves through social media. It allows you to still have quite a very intimate access to people that you wouldn't have otherwise if you weren't communicating on a daily, if you weren't seeing each other in person. It gives you another access. And if you're having trouble to get over someone, but you see them on their stories every day, and you see them posting, and you see them talking, and you see them, just putting themselves out there to be seen, and when you see them, all you feel and all you see is what they could possibly make you feel, or what they do make you feel on the good end, it's not going to go well for you. It's not going to make anything better, because allowing yourself that access is keeping you from cutting off the access that you need to cut off, which is the access that they have to your emotions and to your feelings, your heart. And as long as you keep that string attached through media and through contact, even through text, it's gonna stay there until you cut that off. That presence will always remain, especially if there's someone who are very active on social media. Now, let's get to my fun top 5. My fun top 5, this is for the fellas. Ladies, you can listen as well. However, I'm going to give you my top 5 underrated things in life, men's edition. I think this top 5 are basically things that I think that men either don't appreciate enough or don't talk about enough. And I'm going to go through it. So, number 5, the reason why this is at number 5 is because, mind you, this makes me feel better than a lot of other things on this list. However, I do think that the general consensus of men can attest that this is something that makes us feel good. It's just, to me, this is a lost thing on both the men and the women's side. And when I say this, I know that some women in the world that would hear this without a further explanation would go into a little bit of a tangent or think something of me. And just let me explain. So number 5 would be a home cooked meal from your woman. I don't think that too many men underappreciate it, but I think that we're getting to more of a standpoint in relationships to where, for some reason, saying something like this could possibly be controversial, and I don't like that. Because, and my thing is, you can even say the same, maybe women can say the same about them. Maybe they would appreciate a home-cooked meal from their man, but a home-cooked meal from your woman, especially after you've come back from like a long day of working, or a long day of just doing something, just being a productive member of society, and coming back to a fully cooked hot meal that your woman prepared for you because she was thinking about you and wanted you to have the luxury of eating something delicious that she made that you didn't have to put any effort in. I think that is such a wonderful thing. And I think that a lot of people lose the aesthetic of what that can do for someone. It's such an old school And it's just an old school concept and an old school thing to do. But I think it's something that would touch anyone's heart, especially if they've had a rough or a long day. I don't see why people don't appreciate the home cooked meals anymore. Number 4, being the little spoon. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not afraid to say this. Sometimes a brother just wants to be held, and sometimes it feels so relaxing, especially if you're with someone that you can be vulnerable with. Being the little spoon just every now and then, not every night occurrence, but being the little spoon every now and then is such a comforting feeling, because as hard as you can act, as tough and just nitty gritty a man can be in the world, there is nothing wrong with accepting a night long hug, and call me weird for saying that, but I don't care. Being the little spoon is such a privilege when you have someone, especially when you have someone that's not weird about it, because there are some women out here that will be weird, like, hey, babe, I want to be the little spoon. What? You want to be held? What are you, a woman? What are you, a baby? No, I'm a man. I'm a grown-ass man that has had a long few weeks of work, and I just want to be soft right now. I just want to be soft. I just want to be held, and I don't understand why a lot of people feel weird about that, because I sure don't. I'll be a little spoon whenever I can get it. Number 3 is pedicures. I think that this is very underrated in the male community. A pedicure is so relaxing. It's so relaxing, and also it's upkeep. It is. I just realized this was shifting slowly. It is upkeep of your hygiene and your personal being. A lot of men that I've met, I don't know if this has ever gone up in conversation. No, it has, with my closest friends, but pedicures aren't a male dominant conversation point. They're not. And I mean, I don't expect them to be, and I don't expect them ever to be, but at the same time, I don't think people talk a lot about just self-care. Like, we'll joke about massages every now and then, like, man, I need to get massaged, like, muscles tight, whatever. But a pedicure, I got one with my mom and sister the other day, maybe about a week and a half ago. And when I started getting my calves massaged with that sugar scrub, when I tell you the nerves, the way my nerves from the back of my neck all the way down to every phalange and toe on my body was honestly ridiculous. Like, I didn't want it to end. It felt heavenly. And I'd do it again. I'd do it every day if I had the money to. That pedicure was all that I needed, especially after how much work I was doing, all that running around, constantly on my feet, because mind you, I got 4 jobs, and not one of them is spent sitting down. Not one of them. And that pedicure was more than needed. It was a blessing for sure. Number two, and underrated things in life for men: friends you can cry with. And I say that because there's a stigma about men that still goes on to this day, that men crying isn't something that should be happening. You'll have people that claim to be, top dog alpha males, blah, blah, blah. Why would I cry? Yada, yada. Crying is something that needs to happen. Crying is a response to extreme emotions. It can happen when you're happy. It can happen when you're sad. It can happen when you're angry. And I just think that for some reason, I don't know I want to look into that. What constituted crying as a weakness or a sign of weakness? Because I tell you right now, um, I haven't cried out of sadness outside of, actually, when was the last time I cried out of sadness? It's been a minute since I cried out of sadness. The last time, actually, I would say ever since I graduated high school, at least. No, the last time I cried from sadness is when I broke up with my second girlfriend. I was how old? 21? Was that 21? 21. 21. Ever since I was 21, the only times I have cried have been out of pure anger, and I think I did cry when I was like depressed. Like, it wasn't even sadness, it was depression, like straight up. But out of anger, depression, and I think I did cry out of happiness maybe once. I can't remember. But anyway, I don't like that crying for men is seen as a sign of weakness or something that shouldn't happen. And I think that having friends that you could like cry to and cry with, and actually I'm gonna add a girl that you can cry with. But I put friends just because it's more relevant at the time for me. And being able to have an audience that you can shed tears with, like genuine tears, and not worry about how they view you, or not trying to worry about how they might spin what just happened, or, put any type of negative outlook on the act of doing so and letting your emotions be known. I think that is such a relieving feeling, and something that I think more people need to invest in. More people need to invest in friends that are not going to judge them for letting go of that emotion. Because men cry. Like Tyrese said, men cry, and black men cry, and it's okay for that to happen. And number one is it's such a very simple thing, but for some reason, when I thought of what I would put my number one, this hit me hard. And number one is hearing "I'm proud of you" from the ones that matter the most. As a man, a lot of the things that we do are not for ourselves. We do it for the people around us. If you're not doing it for a woman, you're doing it for your family. If you're not doing it for your family or a woman, you're doing it for your child. If you're not doing it for any of them, because here's my thing. If you see a man and they say like, "Oh, I do this for me and me only because I'm the only one that matters," no, you don't. No, you don't. Because, and especially if you're striving to be wealthy, not just financially, but if you're striving to be in a place to where nothing can touch you, there is a reason for that. Because we can live simple lives. We can live under the radar. We can live with the bare minimum plus a few amenities or privileges. We can do that. There's a reason why someone is doing something. I don't think anybody on this earth does something like just basically for themselves and only for themselves. There's someone or something that you're trying to gain from the success that you're aiming for. Now, mind you, I'm not saying that you aren't the focus of why you're doing it, because you want to have that security, have all those things for what you want to do. However, to act like you're the only reason why you're doing A, B, and C, and you're the only person that's going to benefit from it, and you're the only focal point of why you're doing this, I'm going to call BS on that. I will. Because we all do things for others. We all do things for ourselves in order to provide for others, especially men. And I think that sense of the ones around you, the ones who are closest to you, the ones that you hold dearest, being proud of you and actually being able to brag about you, to be able to tell, hey, I can do this, we can have that because my man this, my man that, my son did this, my son did that, my brother is the reason why we have X, Y, and Z. Like, being able to be bragged about like that and be the focal point of someone's gratitude is, honestly, I feel like that's biologically what a man aims for, because that natural leading and providing energy and mindset that a lot of men have. We do these things, we get this money, we get this house, we get this car, not because we want to look good only to ourselves, but because we want the ones closest to us to be able to enjoy the fruits of our own labor and to enjoy what we want to put on the table for them. And mind you, I'm speaking from my personal experience. I won't say that there isn't anyone in this world who only does stuff for them. That would be ignorant to say. However, if you want to look at just the general man, the average Joe, what they do it for, having people in our corner that are proud of us is what would spur us on for the rest of our life. Now that I got through that half deep, half fun little top 5, I'm going to go into this last top 5, which someone asked me to do this one, and I wanted to do it because this is something that I've struggled with throughout my entire life. This is something that I feel like a lot of people struggle with in general, and I wanted to give my 2 cents and help anyone that might be struggling with this as well. Top 5 ways to adapt without changing yourself. This can be applied to so many things. This could be applied to just life in general. This can be applied to a job, relationship, just whatever have you. Top 5 ways to adapt without changing yourself. My number 5 for this is being open-minded. I don't think that anyone could really succeed in life without being just a little open-minded. If you are closed-minded, that means that you are cutting yourself off to other avenues that you may not have thought of or that maybe you never experienced. And to do that, in my eyes, is to believe that you know it all. And you don't. You really don't. I refuse to believe you do. Actually, I know you don't. So being closed-minded is, in my eyes, a very big detriment to people's growth. Especially when you're cutting it off to things that you feel like you're either an expert or that you know it on. For example, science textbooks, bro. Over the last 20 years, mind you, most of us aren't rocket scientists. We're not, microbiologists. We're not people who are certified, licensed doctors in any field. And yet, the people who write these textbooks, there are changes, there are additions, there are tweaks that happen to these books every 3 to 5 years, constantly changing, constantly updating, constantly coming out with new information. And if stuff like that is happening for the things that you teach the mass of your country, don't you think that anyone is subject to learn something new? Anyone is subject to learn a different avenue on something that you may feel like you're an expert on. I refuse to believe that being open-minded is a waste of time or is in any way detrimental to you or what you got going on. You always have to be able to willing to intake different, I won't say opinions, but different levels of advice. Now, you do need a certain cognitive ability to separate information and learn for yourself whether what you're hearing or what you're receiving is something that would genuinely help you out, or if it's just someone talking out the side of their neck. So yes, you do have to have a level of maturity and a level of understanding and intellect to know what to take and what to just leave out. However, being closed-minded is going to lead to your ruin. I believe that. Number 4, learn the difference between necessity and preference. When it comes to you and what you do and how you move, I think that people need to understand, do you do this because you need to, or do you do this because you want to? Do you act like this because you need to, or do you act like this because you want to? Do you talk this way? Do you behave this way? These little things, if people would just take a moment, sit down, and really break that down for themselves, would create so many more opportunities and mitigate so many misunderstandings that happen. Because it's like, say a relationship, right? And say you have this habit of yours, and your significant other is annoyed, to say the least, by this certain habit, but it's something you've done all your life. And to hit them with well, you're going to have to accept that because that's who I am. Is it really? Is it really? Would you really not be you without that habit? Would you really lose a part of yourself if you were to change or drop that habit? Like, and be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. Would it do anything to you? Would it change who you are? Because I guarantee you, half the things that you might just say off rip, oh, that's just kind of how I am. When did that happen? When did that happen? Because I guarantee you, a lot of the things that would be a problem to someone, as far as maybe like your attitude or how you interact with this person, I can guarantee you weren't always like that. You weren't always like that. Like, let's say, for example, if you're someone who doesn't talk a lot, if you're someone who doesn't vocalize, and your partner wants you to constantly speak up and say what's on your mind, and you're just honestly this type of person who goes with the flow, doesn't really overcrowd their own brains with these thoughts, these I guess this clutter, then that's just something that I would say that is more so along the lines of that's how you are. If you're not a super talkative person, because everyone has different energies about themselves. I know people who can talk people's ears off, not even pick up on social hints, not even be able to have a clue of when they need to zip it. And then there's other people where you almost have to pull words out of them. And then even though you can make an effort to talk more, at the end of the day, they're going to be, quiet. They're going to be more of a into themselves, not super outspoken person. That's an example of something that might be from, forever. Since I was a kid, I wasn't really talkative. Something like that. Now, if they hit you with a, when you undress, put your clothes in the hamper, in the dirty basket, or put them immediately in the washer. Stop leaving them on the floor. Well, this is just how I always lived. You just gonna have to deal with it. No. First of all, you weren't born with clothes. Second, you had to be taught what to do with these clothes. You had to be taught how to move with these clothes. You had to be taught just that construct in general. So to believe that little habit that pisses your partner off is something that you can't even try to work on, come on now. That's a preference. That's not a necessity. And what's crazy is even then, even the non-talkative people that I was talking about, that's an actual, that is part of your personality. I've seen even that where they'll do their best to try to talk more, to try to be more outspoken on what's going on and say more, to the people around them. And if they can make an effort to change something that was, damn near engraved in them since they were born, you can change a habit. You can fix a habit. And so that's my thing. I kind of went off a tangent there, but yeah, just learn the difference between what is needed within your life and then what you just choose to do. Number 3, find a healthy balance between compromise and boundaries. To me, this was a very big one. This actually almost got higher on the list, but I have a couple of others above it. To me, finding that balance between your boundaries and compromising is honestly your golden ticket when it comes to your relationship with others. Having boundaries is an absolute. You have to have boundaries, because if you don't have boundaries, you don't have self-respect. You have to have a line where you draw for what other people do to you, with you, for you, whatever have you. You have to have that, because if you don't have boundaries, then people will be able to do anything they want to, with, for, about you, whatever. You have to have those boundaries. At the same time, being able to compromise is a necessity for relationships. And I'm not just talking about like, boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse relationships, family, friends, relationships with coworkers, your boss, whatever have you. You have to be able to compromise without compromising your boundaries. And compromise should always be 50-50. Compromise is one thing that should never be more on one person than the other. And for you guys that work with people or have people that say, constantly giving you these compromises, because I've been there. I've been in a relationship where the compromise was 80-20 my way. And I did that because I was young, and I thought that, my significant other was the epitome of what a mature relationship should be. And instead of questioning some of these things, or instead of taking a minute, be like, hey, is this really necessary to make me do, or necessary for me to sacrifice? Instead of doing that, I was just like, okay, well, she knows what she's talking about. She's older. She's been in more relationships than I have. She knows that this is the way to go. So I just did it. And what happened? I became miserable. You can't do that to yourself. You can't do all the compromising. It should be 50-50. You should be giving something, they should be taking. They should be giving something, you should be taking. It should be an even exchange. Hey, I'm willing to do this for you, but this needs to happen. Or I'm willing to do this for you if this is what is going to be compensated for that sacrifice, or what is going to be reciprocated for that sacrifice. And whenever you make those decisions, and whenever you talk to people about that, as long as those compromises don't breach what you've already set for yourself, then everything's golden. But once it starts to get into a field of where, all right, what you're demanding of me is starting to deviate from what I want for myself, or is starting to breach a boundary that I had set previously to protect my inner peace and my inner self, that's when you need to maybe cut that loose or distance yourself. Whatever you need to do to put yourself in a better position, because boundaries are there for a reason. Like I said, you have to have them. If you allow someone to breach a boundary, they're going to think they can do it again and do it again. And then at some point, if you keep allowing them to do that, you don't have a boundary anymore. Once you've punched enough holes in that boundary, there's no boundary anymore. It's just one big hole that people can just walk through. And then you find yourself in a compromising position, or you find yourself thinking like, when did this happen? When did it get like this? Why do I feel like this? Because you weren't able to uphold your boundary, and you allowed yourself to lose in these compromises. Like I said, a compromise, if a compromise is two people tugging, like a belt. When you do that snap thing, it should snap in the middle, not one way pulling the other. It should meet in the middle. That's what a compromise should be. And like I said, that boundary should be the line that those compromises don't cross. So once you find that balance, and that's where most of that work comes from, finding that balance, learning what your balance is, learning what your boundaries are. The compromise, that can, honestly, learning how to compromise can come after that, because once you have your boundaries, you know where not to go. And once you get approached by those, I guess, proposals to compromise, having those boundaries and knowing what your balance is, you'll be able to accept or deny them without a second thought, and without feeling like you're doing someone a disservice or yourself a disservice. Number 2, this is a very big one for me. Stick to your morals. This kind of goes along the lines with healthy balance between compromise and boundaries. Boundaries do go along with morals. However, I think they're different, because boundaries, I would say, are more situational. Actually, no, I take that back. Boundaries are more hypothetical. Morals are more situational. Boundaries can be based off of real experiences, can be based off of stuff that you've been through. Boundaries can be based off of things that you've already experienced and like, okay, that will not happen again. But morals are the things that you've engraved in yourself as long as you've been growing and maturing and becoming the person that you are. I have morals that I've had since I was 5, 6, 7 years old that I didn't have boundaries for yet. I didn't. I didn't know, when to cut this off. I didn't know when someone was taking advantage of me. I didn't know when this, particular event and this flag would pop up and I should be like, okay, get away from that. But I knew for me what I wouldn't do, what line I personally wouldn't cross, where I would say, hey, maybe this isn't the best for anyone, including myself. And that is where I'm talking about morality. And people have morals from actually very early on. You start to form morals as soon as you form a conscience. So those morals, a lot of people, especially when they see something that glitters like gold, or they have a whole grass is greener on the other side moment, a lot of people tend to abandon their morals for something that could possibly happen, for a gamble. They gamble their morality, and think that maybe things will end up well if I just ignore this one thing, or things might end up well if I allow this certain thing to happen, or if I cross this line just this one time because of all these things that have been happening. No, do not sacrifice your morals for a moment of success, because it could possibly eat you alive. It could possibly end in something else. And, it's just something that you don't want to deal with. Let's see. Last one. So top 5 ways to adapt without changing yourself. Number 1, discover who you truly are. That requires so much work and so many things to happen, and so much understanding of not only yourself but the world around you. It's something I say for last because it's very vague. It is. And it's a lot of work. However, in order to discover, yeah, what's up, Kenny? In order to basically adhere to everything that I talked about, with being able to adapt, with being able to move within life in general, in order to do these things, you have to know you. And a lot of people don't know themselves. And what's crazy is it's not even like, I'm not even talking about the specifics and specific little minute details. Some people just don't know who they are. They don't. They haven't been through enough, or they haven't done enough self-reflection, or they haven't taken the time and sat down and just be like, okay, well, what do I like? What does, tickle my fancy? What does make me mad? What does make me happy? And doing those things will never be easy. Doing those things will never be easy, because life isn't easy, and you have to go through life to find those things about you. However, with perseverance and strength and a good corner of people behind you, going through life will hit you. And when it hits you, you understand what you can take. You'll understand what you can't take. You'll understand how bad that hurts. And you'll understand that pain goes away. You'll also understand what your tolerance is. And hopefully, especially if life's not beating you too bad, you'll start to increase your tolerance. You start to increase your pain threshold. You start to increase your just awareness of what's going on around you and how those things make you feel inside, and what it is that you truly want from these experiences, and what you want to come from, the aftermath. So being able to know who you are, how you interact with people, what you take from those experiences, and how to properly channel those emotions and those thoughts and those feelings that is what's going to lead you to success. Like I said, what did I say? My whole five. Open-mindedness, difference between necessity and preference, healthy balance between compromise and boundaries, stick to your morals. These can't happen if you don't know if you don't know who you are inside. And one thing that a lot of people don't understand is relationships. You are not going to end your relationship with the same person that you started it with unless you break up like a few weeks after you get together. If you're with someone for years, and I'm not talking like 2-3 years, if you're with someone for closing in on a decade, and mind you, this actually doesn't even regard just, boys and girls. This is like friendships too, and dealing with family. As time goes on, people do change. People mature. Some people change. Actually, a lot of people change. The people mature, and because of life's experiences, you become different people yourselves. And in order to have a healthy relationship with someone, you have to not only manage the experiences that you're going through, but you also have to understand that they're going through their own experiences as well. And knowing that those experiences may affect how they move from then on, and may change how people receive these things that they used to. So because of what, if I'm with a girl for 10, 15 years, what really got her excited at the beginning of our relationship might not do it for her no more. Hey, what's up? What's up, Gigi? It might not do it for her no more. But there might be something else that does. Something that's equivocal to what you used to do. And it's same thing with yourself. Because when you go through experiences, I can say right now, that my interactions with people to this day are not the same that they were 6-7 years ago. They're not. Because for one, I've matured. For two, I've gotten better at reading a room, reading energy, reading people. So the cues that I've missed when I was 19, 20 years old, the moments that I was turned a blind eye to, the words and exchanges that should have tipped off red flags, but I didn't even peep, it's not the same anymore. And because of that, because I've learned how to move differently, learned how to reserve myself a little better, learned how to do certain things, I interact differently. Now, I'm not saying that I changed how I treat people. I didn't change how I treat people. I didn't change how I respect people. But I did change how certain, especially when I just start out meeting you, I did change how I make impressions. I did change how I initiate conversation, especially with those that I don't know. So yeah, those things, discovering, and for me personally, not to brag or toot my own horn, but I've always had a very good sense of self. I've always had a very good sense of what pushes me along, what triggers me, what makes me happy, these certain things, and always had a very good sense of the things that give me certain emotions. So being able to interact with others in a proper way has never been really a struggle. However, I've learned to adjust and just to tweak certain things, especially being able to read a room better. That has definitely helped me. And as I've not necessarily changed, but as I've grown, as I've matured, there are things that have changed for me too. Like I talked in a previous podcast about how love languages are a very important thing. They change all the time. And a lot of times they change depending on what you've been lacking in, recent either relationships or just recent times. Oh shit, you got a haircut. Not necessarily a haircut, but I got my hair braided for a roll. And then of course, I cut my own hair, so just gave myself a fade and line up. But yeah. Yeah, it's just one of those things where knowing who you are and getting to the depth of what I mean, I basically said it already. just understanding who you are at your core will help you understand the world around you much better. I mean, that's the best way I can put it. Because how are you going to understand something foreign to you if you don't understand what's already inside you? You know what I mean? Similar concept to how can you love others when you don't love yourself? That one, I can make arguments of why like there's a different thing about that, but I will say that analogy is very solid here. How do you expect to understand things that are outside and beyond your current understanding when you can't even understand what's inside your own body, your own mind, your own heart? So get to the bottom of that before you try to get to the bottom of what other people got going on. Because once you do, best believe all of these other things that I listed are going to follow so much easier. Because how are you going to set a boundary if you don't even know your own ticks, your own, turn-ons, turn-offs? You can't do that. You can't set something for yourself if you don't know yourself. So, I did it again. That's basically it. That's the gist of what I wanted to go through. I hope that you guys thought it was a very thought-provoking and inspirational video. I probably do plan on having another like just pure fun podcast episode sometime soon. And I was gonna make this one that, but I don't know. There's just some things that I really had to talk to y'all about and get off my chest. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end it right there. I did say this was gonna be a really quick one, and it ended up being almost an hour, like most of my podcast episodes are. That's because I talk a lot and I like to go on tangents. But hey, I digress. That's neither here nor there. But thank you again. It's been wonderful. Like I said, I hope you guys enjoy it. If you guys want any different content, any different type of topics for these podcasts, please comment, let me know. Just give me a heads up, DM me or comment under the video. Also, I do plan on having some guests on and doing podcasts with different people. More people are starting to, I guess, see my platform and be like, hey, we could do one. And I'm like, you know what? Why not? I got the equipment for it, so I think we should go ahead and do it. But yeah, stay tuned for that. Y'all pay attention to any updates that may happen. I'm probably going to be doing some other types of videos soon. I've only been doing little TikTok videos and podcast episodes, but I might get back into some other content. So, stay tuned for that. I love you guys. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your night. And that will be me logging off. Enjoy.